intro didn't cut back over, did it? Greetings, Koopalings, and welcome to PSVG, Play Some Video Games. I'll be your host this evening, Donnie Reese, chiming in, episode 102. I'm joined by an old podcast companion of mine, Mr. Flexay, Jason Lacey from What the Flexipose, who's saving the show this week. I'd like to let everybody know because it was likely on the brink of cancellation. As my compadres, my musketeers, my bros abandoned me. They left me out here taking the shots while they go off and do life things. And yeah, and I don't know, like Jason, I was just not really in the mood to find like people. Life happens, I get it, but I always hate like when things happen like very impromptu. Sure. And my first reaction was, well, we just cancel the show. I'm just not going to try that hard. Like, fuck it.
Donnie, don't be me. Don't be me.
And I was like, I'll reach out and see if I can't find someone. And you were my first call. And you heeded the call, good sir. You heeded the bat signal. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, thank you. Thrilled to be here. Happy to be here. It's been a long time coming. I'm pretty sure you've actively been trying to get me on the show. If we go through the Discord conversations.
Oh,
there's probably like 2 years like, hey, just throwing it out of there.
You want to come pod?
PSVG tonight. You want to come pod? I'm like, no, I can't. Hey, I know. Let me put it out there. You want to come pod? So thank you for being persistent. I appreciate that. So I'm always thrilled to help out, and I'm happy to be able to help out. So
thanks, man. You definitely
great.
You are tonight.
It feels good to help out because so many times I can. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing it, Donnie. For you, I'm in.
Listen to the PSVG. Jason saving you. It's you and Kyle. I'm always, I always just try to mix it in. We don't do as much as we used to anymore, but I'm still cognizant of that. And I'm always just like reaching out to you, Josh, Kyle, Kevin every now and again. Like, hey, you just want to come by? And it's often no. Like, you're not alone in that. Don't feel like it's just you. It's not. It's not for lack of trying, though. I don't want everybody to be like, well, Donnie never asks. Like I ask. But I get it. Life finds a way. But we'll start off like we do every week. How we do things around here. We're going to talk a little about what you're playing. But we didn't even have to talk a whole lot of video games. Jason, it's been a minute since you and I have had a chance to share microphones. So, man, just how the hell have you been doing, man? What's up?
It's funny how quickly time flies, and like we go and we talk about podcasting and ourselves and our journey. That's how the people that know. I mean, that's how most of our friendship is formed. I mean,
for those that don't,
time before that, but
Jason is an original PSVG member, the OG, and co-founder of the Nintendo Shack with me. We did Nintendo Shack together many moons ago. I don't know how many Shack listeners today would know that, but I mean, God, I guess it's been 6 years, 7 years. I
mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, you go back to the point where I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to step back when around the time my son was born, and now, like, lo and behold, he's in first grade now. So
yeah, I know. Yeah,
that's where we're in the craziness of second week of school, adjusting to that. For him, it's the first time of a full day. Previously, it was always half days. So like just getting used to that, which has been going well. But yeah, man, I mean, honestly, that's life a lot for me now. The parenting side, and then the corporate business flexing.
Hell yeah. Upper management.
Working for the man. And feels like it's funny how we, like, as you've already said, life finds a way. But yeah, that's really it, man. Just trying to, like, I feel like I'm in a better place with a lot of things, like with my schedule, or at least in what I do with my free time. Like I haven't been playing games as much, but I've been like reading. My wife and I've been watching a lot of things. I don't know. I feel like headspace wise, I'm in a lot better, better spot than I've been for several years. Just not feeling it as stressed and as, hyper focused on things. I don't know, but it's good. I feel in a good spot, and just trying to ride that wave. Right. So
just crack open.
Clearly the therapy is working. I mean, that's gotta be it. So
I would hope so. It's expensive otherwise, right?
Now,
You're like,
right? And then
be an unfortunate thing if
and,
you're like, this dude's a crock. This isn't working at all.
and I'm officially a man now. I turned 40 a few weeks ago.
Oh,
so, so they're adjusting with my, the end of life.
I saw your message, but I never got to saw the complete compilation. Your friends and myself included all recorded little shots of things together to throw for you. And I
download it yet, but
I was kind of fretting over mine because like I wanted to incorporate like drinks. I thought that was very apropos. Well, but like I didn't know what the hell to say at the end. I knew
it was you or Kevin at first because all of a sudden there's like production value and multiple shots and different cuts. And I was like, different camera angles. I'm like, this has got to be Donnie or Kevin. So.
My reputation precedes me. And I must have shot that last part like 10 times. I would do it and I'd be like, that's stupid. And I'd do it again. I'm like, that's dumb. And like I tried to find like a funny toast, and then I read it and I was like, nobody says that. And I kept trying. So, and I don't know, like I didn't think it came across. I showed my wife. I was like, the real thing that I wanted to say was like, I hope your day was great. But then I wanted to be like, but I hope your night's better, my man. Like, I hope that came across. Like, I almost winked. I was like, should I wink? She was like, don't wink. Definitely do not wink. But that was the tent. That was what I was trying to lay down. But yeah,
that would have been perfect. That would have been
happy
great.
40. How does that feel?
Just honestly, like 30 was one thing. 40, I think I just made it. Honestly, I was just happy to get it done with because I think I was making a big deal out of it in my head. I wasn't like dreading it, but for me, like it feels like, 40, it's like this big, all the milestone ones, right? But like 40 feels like
sure
you're supposed to be at a certain point in life, or you're supposed to feel a certain way, and like
you're definitely supposed to be an adult.
That's the thing.
You're supposed to be mature.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't have game closets and Zelda t-shirts.
Stocks and bonds and RIAs and 401ks.
401ks, of course. Yeah.
None of this nonsense that we're doing. Yeah. So I don't know. Like it's like that whole realization you kind of have when you become a parent and everything. You're like, because when you're a kid, you're like, man, our parents know everything. They have all the answers. And then you become a parent and you're like,
not me. Yeah.
Nobody knows anything. They're just,
they
don't know, like, or when you realize like adults are just kids, just older,
they're
right?
trying their best.
Nobody has, everyone just gives the best answer that they can think of at the time, right? Nobody has the answers. Nobody has things figured out, right?
It's true.
So it's like that realization, like, I don't know, like, it's nothing, at the end of the day, I was happy to just get through it and to move past it. But like the way, like I shared a little bit in the message and everything too, like my wife made it awesome. My family did great, but like my coworkers just like completely humbled and blew me away. Like I saw some expecting,
of that because we're friends on Facebook.
That.
I got to see a couple of clips of that. I was like, that's really nice.
Oh my gosh. So like when I walked in, they played the Mario theme, and then they had all the stuff
awesome.
everywhere, the memes, the costumes.
That's great, man.
I mean, so it was hard to negatively anticipate that day. Right. And I think, unrelated, just with aging and with my son, and, I had taken steps earlier this year, just kind of get my activity level up, get back into exercise, try to take better care of myself. So like, I don't know, it all kind of goes hand in hand, right? So the mental health, the physical health, I don't know. I don't feel any different. I'm still approaching life the same way, so it's just a number, right? I miss my hair. Okay. I do miss my hair, but it's nice not having to worry about styling the hair. I can put a hat on, right? Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. I can have the windows down.
Is it cooler? Right? Do you just like have a cooler body temperature?
Actually, it's worse because the sweat has nowhere to go.
Oh yeah,
and it's
just
like drips.
That makes sense. It's like a parking lot. Yeah, like there's no grass or anything to hold the erosion.
There's no absorption, Donnie.
It just goes. That makes sense. Nothing. That makes sense.
No absorption, Jerry. Nothing.
Wow. That'd be me. I guess I'm just getting used to start talking about. I was going to say a dark anecdote in this Louis C.K. joke, but I'm going to save it. You're 40 and it's a positive 40, so we'll leave it alone. Okay, I'll save it to your 42 or something. We'll save it for a couple of years. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. How are you? How are things going?
Oh,
we don't
dude.
get to chat as much. We're busy. Things are always going on.
Yeah,
You've got natural disasters constantly approaching your spheres of influence.
I've been doing flood operations at home. I talked about it a little bit last week how I had water enter the basement. When that happened again, we probably had the most rain I think I've ever had like this the other night. We had there was 4 feet of water on the interstate in Atlanta. That's how much rain came with just like this one thunderstorm. It was just this ridiculous thunderstorm. And we had water come in the basement again. And again, it wasn't a whole lot, but I freak out about this stuff. Like I don't want major dam. Like I want to fix the problem, right? So I immediately was like in, damn like Crocs and out there in the rain and the lightning, and I'm digging holes and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I had already rerouted the downspouts. I'm checking every single thing. And then I come across this drain that I had put in years and years and years ago off the driveway. And like the water, it's hard to explain if you haven't seen it, but like my house kind of sits in a hole. It's like in the side of a hill. The driveway comes down, and then once the water comes down the driveway, everything just kind of bends towards the foundation of the house.
Ooh.
So I cut that off with a drain, like right in the middle of it where that river flows. I put a drain, and then it catches it off the driveway and it runs down and under the sidewalk and bleeds out into my front yard. That drain has completely failed. It's completely clogged. I had to dig it all up. I dug the whole thing up. It's probably a good 30 feet, probably 2 feet deep, 30 feet long. And the entire corrugated pipe that was in there is completely full of debris, dirt. It's just packed full of dirt. So it's super heavy. It's very heavy.
Yeah.
And I pulled all of it out. Now I haven't repiped it yet. I'm at the point now where I'm even wondering if do I want to put in the sweat equity to do it or just pay somebody to do it? So I'm taking quotes just to see what the difference is.
Sure.
And, but because I dug it all up, water is still being captured and flowing again. And I'm happy to report that last night we had another night of thunderstorms. No water came in.
Hey.
So what was happening, I believe what was happening is the water, instead of being caught by that drain, because the drain was backed up, was flowing over that drain down the hill and towards the foundation. And I believe the water is just running down the foundation and finding a way in. Like I said, it wasn't a lot. It's got to rain a lot for that little bit of water to come in. But I think I've cut it off. Now it's just about making it pretty, not having this giant death hazard on my sidewalk.
Sure.
There's just like a 2-foot hole that runs 30 feet across my yard at the moment. But when I'm not, and there's a hurricane coming, as John 32 points out, isn't there a hurricane? There is a hurricane. It is flying up the Georgia coast now. To be fair, it moved further east than was expected. The impacts to Atlanta tonight are minimal. We just have light showers around, so it's not that. It's so sad that I have put so much sweat equity into digging this giant hole because I knew the hurricane was coming, that it would shift and we wouldn't. It hasn't rained here at all today because I live west of the city, so I'm even further removed from the actual stuff. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing this week. It's been a lot of digging in between work assignments and emails and voicemails, running out and digging some holes. And I'm tired, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that's probably a bit to why, like when the guys were like, we can't make it, I was like, we'll just cancel. I was really in a mental mood where I was like, we could just cancel and it won't be that. And it's not that big of a deal. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but I think has been well established in PSVG lore for whatever reason it is to me. I don't like to miss shows and I don't like to be irregular. And, so I was like, well, let's make some phone calls and see what I can't make happen. Let's be regular. I have played a couple video games, not as much. I'm still playing Tachia, which I talked about a bit on Shack. And I think it's just called Chia. I don't know why I always call it Tachia because there's a giant T in front of it, but I think it's pronounced Chia. And I'm still enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. Wind Waker fans out there should give it a go. But I was playing a lot of WWE this week because unfortunately Bray Wyatt passed away, who was my favorite character, and it was pretty sad. I think I was basically in a state of grieving when the news came.
36, right?
36. Yeah, we're the same age. Born the same year.
I was a fan of the sport in 90s, right? And kind of fell out of it a little bit in the early aughts, but there's just a terrible trend, right? We're seeing with those athletes, and then early deaths are just
Sure.
I don't want to say random, but just gone too soon.
We've had a
And
couple
like,
of them. Jay Briscoe died, and obviously we had the Benoit stuff and Owen Hart, and they've definitely happened. The older folks, like Terry Funk died, and it's like, man, it's amazing Terry Funk lived this long.
Sure.
Like that's almost like a feat. Like they finally got him. Good for you, Terry. It's like they really put up a hell of a fight, man. Bray hits different though. At least I think for me, I would like to say for his fans. I had a really good chat with Sean about this Thursday night last week, and I was kind of all up in my feels about it. So I won't go on forever about it now, but I'll just say I think we used to do strong style. People who listen to PSVG for a long time know that I'm a big Bray fan, and I just think that his passing was so sudden.
Mm-hmm.
He had so much value to the industry, unlike several other folks in the same age. It just feels very tragic. Like when I saw the news, I had opened Twitter to ask for questions, and I saw his name was trending, and I assumed that he was making a return because the reports for weeks was that he was nearing a return because he had been out of commission for like 6 months. And I clicked on it and saw Triple H's message, and then I ran to Discord, and then I saw that I'd been pinged. And in that moment, I think for the first time in my experience of dealing with death, I felt like immediate denial. And that was something that I don't think I'd ever come across. Like, and it wasn't like, obviously, I don't think denial is ever intentional. It was like a subconscious, like I immediately wanted to rewind everything. Like I was like, no. Like it was when I say the word unbelievable, like the true definition of the word unbelievable. I said, no. This isn't happening today, right? Like this is a dream. Like, of course this isn't. Like it was shocking in that way to me. And I think it really threw me for a loop, Jay. I was watching all the memorials and things, and I don't mean to oversell it or try to, act like I don't know. I was probably dwelling on it too much. It just, God, I want to say a lot, but I also don't want to say anything.
It's all right.
The older you get, maybe the other people might realize this. I feel like I get softer. And how this would have hit me when I was 18 is drastically different than how it hits me when I'm 36. And him being like a recent father and a father of such young children, having such a young family, and having done so much, but still, like in my mind, having so much ahead of him.
Sure.
Like when the John Cenas and the Brock Lesnars and the Edges and the Randy Ortons retired and got out of the way, like he was right there. He was going to be like, he's been such a fixture of this company for so long that he had like, it felt robbed. I feel robbed of what should have happened, what could have been, for years ahead, sure. Decades, at least a decade. Like the idea never dawned to me that I would be like 46 and not, watching Bray Wyatt do something in WWE. Like that hadn't really come across yet. And to have it all happen in the blink of a moment like that, man, it really threw me for a loop. And I don't know how best to say this. And it'll probably sound dumb or douchey. I don't know how this comes off to people. When you see so many people so sad, it almost, for whatever reason, it made me I feel more sad than maybe I even was. Like to see the news, obviously it's tragic and sad. But then to see so many people so sad about it, it just made it hurt more. I don't know, it just made the hurt feel more real to me in a weird, I don't know if it's a weird way, but just in a different way than I had really experienced. So,
I don't think there's any right or wrong way to how grief is going to, impact you or come over you or hit you. And it kind of, I haven't lost too many, family members, but like the biggest thing that I can say that, impacted me was like when we lost Bobby and what that was like, and the way it just, like it you'll be fine one minute, and then a couple days later, weeks later, months later, yes, it just, the way the emotions and your body and everything just, yeah, it's everyone's different, and there's no right and wrong way. And I kind of sympathize with the way you're, what you said too, with as you get older, you get a little softer, and things that would just you'd approach in a more stoic fashion, maybe, or it's different, And I think
Yeah, definitely. I think
part of it is that
a younger me would have been like, that's life.
You've been
It
on.
happens, and it's like an older me is just like, yeah, I mean, it's life, but like in that moment when I read the tweet from Triple H, it was just like not him, like literally anybody else. Like, come on, like this guy, this is the guy. For those of you that don't follow it, and I'm sure there's probably many of you that don't really follow wrestling, like Bray Wyatt was an incredibly unique character, full of ton of like creative ideas, like crazy, like almost too much, maybe, if there's such a thing. But off air and out of character, like an extremely like sweet, kind person, like really. In interviews, if you catch him with fans, interactions, they like really just I can't. I said it feels robbed. There are so many like more deserving people, like it's just like I was thinking of that. I was like, man, this guy is like a world-class athlete, and the amount of people that, even me, that like won't do anything, have no impact, and he had and I think that's the thing, is he had an impact on so many people. And that's the thing that like hurt, is I feel real hurt with so many people, across the industry, outside the industry, horror fans. Like he really had a reach and like a touch. And I was also trying to explain to Sean, like he had this rise. And I think the thing, this isn't a person I know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I may have felt more grief over him than like my father passing. And that's a wild thing to say. But for those of you that don't know, I didn't live with my father. We were, but I think the difference with Bray is I had watched him rise from FCW to NXT to WWE to world champion to all these things, in a physique that normally doesn't get those opportunities, in a company that isn't like, that's not their norm. He isn't like the neon colored baby face, catchphrase talking John Cena, Orton, like this legacy that they have. He's the antithesis of that. And I think if you're into the macabre, the horror, the gore, the sleaze, right? These things that they don't typically do. If you approach those things, if you like Jason and you like Freddy and monsters and, things like that, or Undertaker-ish sorts of things, like he appealed to all of that. He was metal in like every sense of the word in that company. And the thing that, like, he had this quote years ago where he said, "I am the color of red in a sea of black and white." And it's like, God, it is so damn true. That's exactly who he was. He just stuck out like a sore thumb. And I don't know, it's like the amalgamation of all of that. It's like knowing how he was like real, knowing his character that he portrayed on television, and then knowing like how hard it was for him to get a character like that to that level, and all of those things. Like you were, it was just like he's one of us, like, you just kind of get attached to somebody like that in a deeper way than a character on a TV show or something, like it just, I don't know why, but it just felt like the hooks were in me a little bit deeper than most. And I'm sure other people will say, well, it's the same for me with, another character, or something. But for me, it was this guy, it's just like, and the way he left was tragic. If anybody doesn't know, he got COVID several months ago, and it complicated a heart issue that he had. And I guess they gave him like a pacemaker or something, or a defibrillator or something. I think it was a pacemaker. And he wasn't feeling well, and he went to go lay down with a nap, and he just didn't have his pacemaker on, and that's it. That's what did him in. And that's horrible. Like his kids are so young. I'm talking, they're babies, man, like 4-month-old, like a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, like babies. Like and that's the thing, that like he was just getting started with all the promise that he showed. He was just getting started. And I think that's what hurt. That's what hurt the most. And I feel like I've already talked about this longer than I wanted to. But the way that I chose to process it is I immediately started playing games with him. Like I started playing WWE video games. I bought the newest one.
Yeah.
And I bought, he had his own DLC pack, and I instantly bought it.
Oh, nice.
And I hate WWE 2K23. And I played it for like 2 hours. And like, I'm never playing this again. Um, it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous game, and it runs really well on PC, which is much better than last year's. But it's doing that 2K thing where it's like super simulation wise, and like you've got stamina to control. And like
Ugh.
when I play wrestling gaming, I just want to beat up fools. I don't want to deal with all these things. And like everything is constantly getting reversed. And there's minutes at a time during a match where like I can't even get a move in because the computer is just beating me around and I can't reverse anything. And I'm just, there are people that are like, I like this. It's more realistic. And I'm like, I hate this because this is not fun. I'm not having fun doing this.
While you're saying that, I'm thinking, and I don't think this can be correct, but I do think that I have not played wrestling games since SmackDown on PlayStation.
Wow.
And
the good old days.
The good old and the classics on 64.
Sure.
Like, because that's what we did. I was in high school then. We'd get together and we would play WCW Revenge. We would play Royal Rumble. What was, I feel like there was one more.
No Mercy.
No Mercy.
NWO World Tour.
And I had a PlayStation, so I had SmackDown. And you could make your own wrestlers, and you had combine the moves and your finishers, and that. And I don't think I've been back since then. If we get something that I like that arcadey, over the top, just the fun action type.
Well, Jason, I've got news for you.
So,
because I love Steam because I played it, didn't like it, so I got my money back or a refund, and then I bought a game that I played on Switch called WWE 2K Battlegrounds. It's made from Saber Interactive. They also make NBA Playgrounds. They're making an NFL game coming out. And I was like, I want to get this on PC. Because it's fine on Switch, but it's very soft and all. I was like, I'm going to play it on Switch. Yeah. I'm going to play it on PC. So I bought it. I put it on my Ally. Let's get the bad news out of the way. All support for this game has been all but dropped. Like there are none. To the point where they sell a season pass that I attempted to buy that unlocks everything, so you don't have to do it. Because the problem with this game on release wasn't the game; it was the microtransactions and their monetization scale. Like you would buy the game, and like every character was locked, and they were constantly pushing you for money. And I was like, I'll just buy the season pass and get it over with. The season pass didn't even work on Steam. Like it literally doesn't unlock anything. Then nothing happened. So I had to again request a refund, which they gave me. But then I looked up online, and I may have found my way to a Reddit, and I may have come across a save file that has everything unlocked that I just put in a certain folder, and yay, it's a piece of cake. And I've been playing WWE Playgrounds honestly for like a week. Like I played it a lot this weekend, and I put it on my Ally over here, and it runs great on the Ally, and I've just been having fun like that. It sort of plays the best thing I could possibly say is like it controls almost like Smash. You have a light, and we have a kick and a punch, and then you have a grab. Then your grab plus A does something, but then your grab plus like right stick, so if you have like a B stick, all of those do things. And then you can also like do B stick modifiers. So you can hold like the left trigger and like up on the right stick, or the left trigger and down on the right stick. And it plays like that. So I've been playing those, and with everything unlocked and not having to worry about not having characters I want to play with, and not being able to set the matches I want, the game is much better. It's a shame, I think, that they went so hard on it, because I think if they had just made a wrestling game, like the game is fun to play. They have all these ridiculous like arenas that have like you can throw people to crocodiles, or you can throw them in caskets, and you can catch them on fire, and it's very dumb like that, and they're very like super powerful. It reminds me of there was a WWE All Stars that I had on the Wii, I think 3DS. Yeah, it's very much like that. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I've just been kind of reliving Bray entrances and setting up old matches, and Bray versus Cena and Undertaker and stuff, just kind of chilling out when I'm not playing Chia. Are you aware of Chia? Have you played it at all? Have you heard about it?
No. My journey with games right now has been odd, because like leading up to Tears of the Kingdom, I was like in a weird spot. I wasn't where I didn't want to get invested in anything.
I didn't even ask you about that. Are you doing Tears of the Kingdom?
I'm pretty. I think I'm done with it at this point. I've done everything I think I've wanted to do. I think I put like 120 hours into it when I finished to my liking, so like, and for me after that, I was like, well, anything else I have access to right now is trash. pales in comparison to that experience, right? So like it had sucked my will to play anything else. Like there was nothing, because for me, like that was everything I needed at the moments that I wanted from a game, right? Like it hooked me, it got me enthralled with the experience, and like it got me back to the point of like when I had time, I wanted to eat, sleep, and breathe Tears of the Kingdom, right? So once I was done with that, then I was like, okay, what do I do? So that's kind of the lull I'm in right now, somewhat. In Sea of Stars, I think is going to be that next thing I focus on. However, Donnie, it was on sale, and this is a good time and worst time to talk to you because I've been mulling about this for a while, and now all of a sudden there's refurbs out there, and it's like I could buy a Steam Deck. I was very seriously considered buying a Steam Deck for a long time because I was like, I'm just going to buy the cheap one, get it refurbed. I'm going to throw an SD card in there,
do
or
your own expansion,
another hard drive in there, whatever.
What are the refurbs now? Like 300?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great price. Yeah. That's a great price to get in on one.
It's
now,
like 300 plus tax.
I want to ask you so many things. I'm so glad you brought this up. First of all, though, does it give you any hesitation to know that we are on the brink of another Switch?
No, because I feel like with the Switch, it's going to be tail end of the year. I got Christmas. I got another birthday.
Oh, yeah, you got time. You got time.
We're golden.
So
we're golden.
I guess a better answer is you're not worried about like dual ownership of platforms. You're totally fine to have multiple portables because I am too. Like,
yeah, because this is what it's taught me. Tears of the Kingdom, like that's the only way I could have played that. Like I played that game probably 90% handheld. And that was the thing. Like my wife would be reading, watching something, playing Zelda. We were on vacation, she was reading, playing Zelda. Like the accessibility of the portable form factor just changes so much for me how I play a game. So that's like I would love to play Baldur's Gate, but I know I'm not going to play Baldur's Gate here on this computer. It will take me 3 years to get through that game. Like it just the option to be able to play for an hour in bed or whenever,
100%.
Play on my lunch. Like I won't take a lunch break at work, but if I bring my Switch or a book, then I will stop working, and reset. So like it just opens up those avenues for me, right?
I love it, man.
So that's the pull. But then I'm still like, I went from like I'm all in. Now I'm back to the well. Do I really need it? Maybe I can just make
really
more time
use it
to come down onto this computer and play things.
Sure.
So that's.
I wonder if you could beat that now that they're doing refurbs. I wonder if you could beat that price on eBay. I wonder if you could shave that 300 to like 250. I bet you could.
The only question though is the quality control. Like that's
true. You get the warranty, I guess.
You get the warranty. They get the same warranty as the new one. You get the inspection. Guarantee.
GameStop are selling refurbs. If you had anything you wanted to trade in, you could even cut that even lower. Yeah. So I adopted the Ally, and I do love it. And I've had a lot of people since that. They feel like, oh, well, you're not going to get the Switch. Like, no, I'm totally getting the Switch. And they're like, why would you? You're going to Ally. Yeah. I think with all of the portals, I think the portables, I think some things have maybe been lost in translation. So I always want to remind people that the Switch is like a closed ecosystem that developers are optimizing for. Mm-hmm. The Steam Deck and the Ally are not. Those are low-end PCs that through the powers of DLSS and FSR are capable of running PC ports of games. The experience is not going to be the same. Now, right now, you can be like, well, my experience on Steam Deck is better than the Switch. Well, the Switch came out like 7 years ago. Right? The Switch 2...
it should be better.
Right? The Switch 2, I imagine, even with lower RAM and lower card and all that, we'll probably be able to play games at a very comparable, if not better level, because the developers are specifically building builds of a game designed for that one hardware SKU, where they're not with the Steam Deck. It's literally the PC version. That's why you need external SSDs. That's why your game files are 80 gigabytes or 120 gigabytes, because you're just running the PC version of the game. It's not a separate. They're not making Steam Deck versions of the game. It'd be nice if some developers would get to that. I don't even know if Steam would have that built in. I think on the indie space, like that would actually be pretty incredible if they started to do stuff like that. But like in that way, there will always be like a place, I think, for the Switch to excel. And then
Well,
first
yeah.
party is its own. Like
Yeah,
I would get a Switch 2 just for Mario Kart.
Yeah,
it's
it's
totally
that
fine.
library that you can't get. You're not going to get that
100%.
software anywhere else.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean,
1000%.
are there likes? Yes. Are they comparable? Absolutely not. I mean, yeah. So,
I think you should get it if you're doing the Steam thing and you've got your Steam games. I mean, I think the Steam Deck. I really enjoyed my Steam Deck. I know I make fun of it. I don't like trackpads. I'm not doing any of that. It's big, but I really enjoyed the Steam Deck. I think it's a really great handheld. I think you get a lot of love for it. I think you get a lot of play out of it.
I mean, I've looked at my Steam library, and there's so many things I've never even touched, and there's so many things I know I would play if I have then I think
if it was more convenient.
Yeah, my buddy's like trying to have me install, what is this? It's Moonlight. Moonlight and Sunshine, are those the two? He's like, yeah, you just got to do that, and you can just. So he's trying to get me to do that.
Well, here's the thing: if you got a Steam Deck, you get instant remote play from your PC on your Steam Deck. So if you wanted to play a newer game, if you wanted to get a newer game, so you're playing Call of Duty or something, right? It's going to run terrible in your Steam Deck. Just play it off your PC. Just do cloud. Steam Remote Play was really good on Steam Deck. I had no problems with it. And it is instant. You don't have to set up all these things. Literally, you open the game on your Steam Deck and it's like, do you want to play this off your PC? And you're like, I do. And boom, you're on the way.
You're in. See, I still have, which I never really took advantage of stuff. It kind of works, is the Steam Link. I have one of those. I never really, I just recently got fiber here in my neighborhood, so I've got a much better connection than I've had. But so there's options there. There's things to pursue. But I coming off the Tears of the Kingdom, I was like, okay, what am I going to play? What am I going to do? So there's the whole Steam Deck thing. That conversation is still going for a while. But I was like, well, maybe I'll just beef up my Switch library, beef up my Steam library. I try to get on the PC more. So I used my other voucher. I put that towards the new Mario game.
Yes,
so that's set up, and I'll probably get Mario RPG once that comes out as well. So I'm set with Switch for a bit, and then but I saw it was on sale, and I was like, why not? I finally picked up Cult of the Lamb. How far beyond that came out. And disappointed to see that the performance issues are still there. I know that it was
on Switch
with I knew that was going into it. I was hoping it'd be a little bit better.
It was bringing Sean's PC down. I don't know what it is about it, but Sean's PC was having issues, and even mine towards the end when I had a lot of Villagers stuff going, it would get a little choppy. You're like, what is going on? It's just an indie game, guys. But it seems to push hardware.
So I'm just playing with that, dabbling there, and that's been fun. And playing, it's oddly enough, playing it with handheld, I didn't notice the stuttering or the hiccups as much.
That makes sense, yeah.
So trying to go that route, and then
dude, I freaking love that game. I know it goes without saying. I got the damn lamb right here, but the game was so much fun. I have thought of re-rolling a village and just doing it again on multiple occasions. I just really haven't had the run yet, the lull, the right. I'm just waiting for the moment to hit. The right sick day, the right light flu, where I'm I'm just gonna play Cult of the Lamb for 16 hours straight. I'm waiting for it because I'm looking forward to it and I don't even like rogues at all. But it was something about the run based. Right, where I could die and I didn't feel like I was losing everything.
You're not really losing a whole lot.
You're not losing much. You're just losing that run. Your village is still there. You can still come back. You can still make progress. The progress wasn't. It's not that I'm losing materials and gems and things.
Right.
Yeah, it's the progress is still being made. I love that game and just how dark and sinister it is. And I don't know about you. I made all of my friends villagers. I named them all and did terrible, unspeakable things to everybody, and then took screenshots of it and then sent pictures to them. I mean, it was like dark Animal Crossing meets Death's Door. I mean, it was incredible. It was very good.
Well, I first I approach it and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mull over it. I'm gonna feel bad that first time I lose a villager, or a cultist. I'm gonna feel bad about it. But then, one of them had the quest. Like, I want to eat a meal made of poop. I'm like,
yeah,
okay. And then right before that, apparently I served some bad fish, so I had a couple villagers die right then, and then the third, and I was like, well,
what's for dinner?
let's do some sacrifices, baby.
Yeah,
Now
let's feed.
now
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say, start
now it's like
feeding
whatever.
villagers. I mean,
Now it's like
so
whatever.
much about. I love morality games. It's a big reason I like Infamous and Fable so much, and I love the idea of getting to play the villain and being the bad guy. And so often in games, they just don't want you to do it. Like games are. Oh man, I want to say a hot take right now. Games are like somewhat like conservative, like when it comes to like morality and things like that. You know, like they don't really push the edge a whole lot. So many games want you to be the hero and the white knight and the good person and the savior and all that. Like so many games like adopt that model. When a game really lets you go the opposite way, like I really think I get a like a kink out of just like watching the game allow you to do that. And like in Infamous, it gets harder. Like the game gets worse as like the eviler you go. Like the game pushes back on you. All these challenges come up and all that. But usually the powers get better. But in Cult of the Lamb, like it almost empowers you. They're like, oh, this is the way you should go. Like this is the best.
Yeah,
this is the best way.
like,
this is definitely more
villagers,
fun to do this,
stronger.
isn't it? Yeah. It's so much fun. I'm like, this is great. I wish more games would play with this.
Yeah. So I've cleared the first area. I'm on the second. So, very early, but still just having fun with it. And I'm like, I'm going to see that through. And then I'll probably jump into Sea of Stars and play that.
Nice.
I love the demo. Kevin had said, like, he was messaging me when he was reviewing it and was like, I haven't been hooked.
It's amazing.
This game. You got to get it day one. And so
I was just about to ask, I wonder how it's reviewing, because I know Rebecca's going to give me an earful of that thing this weekend. Is it great?
Yeah, it's reviewing really
Very
well.
good.
Like I saw, the splash screens, like 9s and 8s and 9s. And
oh wow,
so,
nice.
I mean,
very nice.
It's doing really well. But I was back on Steam and I was like, I kind of, what can I mess around with here? And I've seen it forever, and I finally like wanted to plunge onto it and check it out. BattleBit Remastered. This is like if you took the voxel Minecraft look of a game
but Battlefield.
And dumped that in, but Battlefield. Yeah.
My son's playing it. Yeah.
And it was like $15. I'm like, with the barrier of entry so low, why not? I just wanted, like, I had that feeling for like I would just want a shooter, right? I just want to play something, and I don't have any good boomer shooters right now. I know that's you gotta get on.
You gotta get on the bolt gun, man. Have you heard me talk about bolt gun?
I have heard you talk about
Warhammer bolt gun. It's a Quake. It's on Game Pass. Get Quake 2. It's on Switch. $10.
I wanted though, like the fact that this has, what is it, like 128 on.
Yeah, no, my son started playing this. So... I learned about this game, I think a month or two ago. My son was playing it. I brought it up on PSVG one night, and I think Delvin and Dev just gave me like the weirdest side eye. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I was like, I'm telling y'all, this is like a huge deal. Like all the kids are playing it, and they're like, we've never heard of this game again. But my son and them, they've moved back to Halo since, but they were playing it for like a week straight. They were playing nothing but the BattleBit game.
What's this Halo you speak of? I've tried. Yeah. I've tried to go back, and the game doesn't want me back.
My son says it's great. Like they've been playing it constantly the last 2 weeks.
Still playing Infinite?
No, not still. I'm talking in the last 3 weeks. My son and his gang have gotten not just back into playing Halo. I'm talking they are infinitely playing Halo Infinite. Like that's all they're doing. They're playing around the clock. He's playing, staying up all hours of the night. Like, wow. And I don't really understand it. I asked him 2 weeks ago. I was like, are you still playing Infinite? He's like, yeah. And he came by, I was making dinner and he walked by me and I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, he's like, he's like, it's gotten really good. He's like, they had this new update and I don't know, they changed the way people slide or jump or something. I don't know. I don't remember, but he was trying to tell me that there are like some new maps and like maybe a new mode, but whatever it is, they've got them. They've got those kids hooked.
It's been out for almost 2 years. They added 4 maps now.
Well, apparently that's all it takes because they are playing.
I mean, they got Forge in there at least, so you got the community maps. But like, I've tried a couple times because I did go hard at season 1 and like the game would just crash. Like I couldn't find a match.
Oh,
the game would just crash, and I'm like, come on, guys.
There's gonna be a documentary written about this game one day.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that they had to disable like crossplay is forced just for now. You can't get I can't get a PC only lobby or an input only lobby just because I'm sure for population's sake. But going back to BattleBit, the idea intriguing. I learned very quickly that size of player base and that type of game is not going to. If you're looking, I was not in for a good time, Donnie. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Like you're just like for trying to learn what's going on, get a feel. Like I got the controls, all right, I got the gunplay where I want, great. But then like, okay, we're in this somewhat urban setting. I'm supposed to be we're assaulting some sort of building. The enemy is entrenched. I'm getting just mowed down from halfway across the map because they're on the roof.
Oh no,
like,
yeah,
it's
course.
just that stuff where you're just getting shot and killed from I don't even know where. So then I finally was like, okay, I'm going to snipe, and then I'm like, great, getting some headshots, feeling good. Then I'm like, what is this icon on my screen? What's happening? Okay, so you fire one shot, then you have to hit the button again to actually pull back, open the chamber, release the shell,
no.
put the other one in, and then so you're ready to go. So like learning curve, right? So I gave it like a 30-minute college try. I want to go back into it, but it was like, okay, I could see the appeal there. Like just the chaos. I've heard so many good things like about the team chat, the voice chat, and just like the nonsense that happens just with the experience of the battles. So I don't know. There was a time forever ago, like back, we're talking Battlefield. Oh gosh, it would have been, I think Battlefield 3 era. Like I don't know if I've ever talked about it before, but I like joined a community, right? That was specifically that would set up battles, right? You would have teams. You like when you join, like how people do leagues for Madden or NHL.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You would get enlisted. You would get assigned into an army, right? You would have a rank. You would have a platoon, a division, all that, right? And then they had their voice chats organized where only you only had your squad, and then they have
like, this huge, is deep.
Like, yes, and they would have these huge like Saturday. Okay, we're going to war, and you'd have this huge battle on the day, and so it was like organized battlefield. And I only got to like do like maybe one battle, so like that kind of experience appeals to me, right? But not right now. So sure. Gave it a little go, and then I was like, man, what am I going to do? After I patched all my things, I installed a game from 2004 that's near and dear to my heart, which is Enemy Territory, the Return to Castle Wolfenstein multiplayer only component spinoff released in 2004, and was going back to play prime try hard online Fluxay moments, man. So it was just kind of cool to go back and play something I haven't. And the weirdest thing is I've played this game off and on. Now they have what's called, the community's made what's called ET Legacy, which is an easy standalone way to get it installed and updated and modded. It's got widescreen support. You can customize your configuration a lot easier, where back in the day you had to actually open a text file and edit CVAR values and stuff like that. Now it's all done right into the UI. It's funny how like the key bindings are still like the muscle memory key bindings in a game I haven't played.
You just got it. Yeah.
They're still there. Like I still remember like my custom configuration, what I want, what buttons I want to do things. And just the headshot sounds of that game are forever ingrained in my brain.
Wow.
And it's just so, I don't know. There's like a dopamine hit, right?
Yeah. Nostalgic.
that immediately comes for it. So it was just fun to probably, I'm sure like the Quake remaster is done for the Quake 2 remaster is done for people right now. Like going back and playing that game was great. And then like speaking of remasters, like I can't wait, that one right there, Dark Forces, when that comes out, can't wait to jump in on that. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing right now, and it feels good to kind of jump between a few things, but I do want to like hearing you always kind of wax poetic about it. I've got this computer that I don't really utilize. I've got Steam, like I can save so much money on games on Steam. So now I think my whole approach now is I'm going to look at something I want to play, and I'm going to look across all the modes I have access to, and whatever's cheaper, that's what I want to try to do. But
that's what I do. I can't play as many things as I can if I'm paying, full price day one on the most expensive platform every day. I just can't afford it. The only reason I can like show up every week with something usually to play is because I'm probably playing on PC and probably going to.
Well, now just hearing all this chat that you had, well, I think was from Shaq this past weekend, right? Where you're talking about the various key sites that you pre-order on and say,
I love Fanatical. I buy them by the bucket. I got WWE 2K23 for like $20. It was on sale, even though I returned it. I got WWE 2K Playgrounds for $1.99 on PC. I paid $2. It was like $2.05 with tax is what I paid for that game. And I've played it all weekend. Yeah,
I love it.
And I'll probably play more Chia this week. And I have another game coming out soon.
How do you spell that? I'll have to look that up.
Be able into TCHIA.
Okay.
It's Breath of the Wild, Wind Waker-ish, It's an indie version of it. I don't want to oversell it, so you don't expect a whole lot. Definitely not in the combat way, but it's like open air traversal. You can climb a big cliff, jump off, hover off of it. You can climb everything. There's a stamina mechanic. It's just a giant fetch quest. You're just like running from town to town, collecting things for the other town. But there is like some combat. The thing about this game is that you can possess things. Like you can transfer your being into them. And so you can be like a rock or a bird or a cat or a shark. And then all of those things have their own traversal elements. And some of them have combat elements. And that's interesting. It's an interesting twist on the idea. And while it's playing it, you do wonder like, oh, like could Zelda do something like this? You know, like we've had a wolf, we've had Wolf Link, and then like all of a sudden like that kind of checks out. You know, that kind of makes a little sense. I'm enjoying it. I'm not like over the moon about it. I'm not like wanting to beat it. I'm kind of playing it right now because I'm in between games and I wanted to check it out. And I imagine after playing a little bit more, like if it keeps being super fetch questy, I'll probably just move on. You know, there's not a whole lot there keeping me. I'm more liking it for like the collecting. They have like all these collecting things you can do on the map. I'm more about it for that than doing like the missions to collect things for people. Could care less about that. But yeah, there's a game coming out being released soon that I'll get in the review coverage for. So that'll take some time away from me before Cyberpunk. So it's kind of what I'm focused on at the moment. But with that, wow, we went 50 minutes on just like the intro of the show. It's pretty impressive, Jason.
What can I
let's
say?
get into the news and let's kick it off with dear friend in the chat, Sean Capri.
Hey, Don, is that the way you move on the internet? Now read that news.
Mr. Sean Capri, killing it with the transition. This week in the news, let's kick it off. PlayStation has announced their essential games for September. You're getting Saints Row, Black Desert, the Travel Edition, and Generation Zero. Saints Row being the reboot.
How the hell is Black Desert still a thing? Like, I remember like a community that I was kind of loosely a part of being really excited about that as an MMO when it launched. And that is a long time ago. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But maybe more importantly, when talking about PlayStation Plus, is the news that came out today that Sony is raising the price of PlayStation Plus across the globe. Starting September 6th, the price of 12-month subscriptions for the service's Essential, Extra, and Premium tiers will rise by at least 33% for each tier in the US. And maybe other ratios is like 20% in the UK and 20% in Europe and all this different stuff. Their reasoning is to, quote, continue bringing high quality games and value added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription. High value games like Saints Row, Black Desert Traveler Edition, and Generation Zero, as we just mentioned. This comes a couple months after Xbox raised the price of Game Pass plans. For the US, we're not going to go over what it is in every territory. We'll just cover the US. Sorry, my UK pals. In the US, the jump is the Essential plan goes from 60 to 80. The Extra plan goes from $100 to $136. And the Premium tier, the all access, all you can eat PlayStation tier, jumps from $120 to $160 annually. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big jump. I don't know. I honestly don't know how. I mean, I saw folks reacting to this in in Discord. I don't know how that matters to anything. When I reached out for questions because you were joining the show today, I noticed that PlayStation Plus, and Jim Ryan were all trending. So typically with it being Twitter, I think that's usually a negative. You're usually not trending for good reasons. It's not like these people did a great job, let's get them trending. So I guess the reaction to this isn't so great. I'm not surprised that they're raising the price. This is literally the company that raised the price of the console. They raised the price of like everything.
I mean, that's the name of the game. I feel like across the board now, like that's what, our streaming subscriptions are being raised, or they're being supported with ad tiers. I mean, it's everything like that. Unfortunately, the economy that we're in, right? With it, I hate to inflation, this and that.
When you're beholden to shareholders, You gotta keep trying to raise the bar, right? Like you can't just the status quo is no longer good enough. You must make more money.
Right.
So I'm not like surprised. I don't think it's great. I wouldn't be happy about it if I was a PlayStation customer, but I'm not. So, like for me, it's a shame that Dev and Delvin aren't here with us. I'd love to know what they think. They probably don't think it's great. I want to say, I think my only informed maybe take on this is I think last year PlayStation Plus lost subscribers for the first time ever. I think they've rebounded, but I think more importantly, I think PlayStation Plus has just been kind of stagnant. I don't think they've really been growing at all. I think it's just basically like in the same area-ish for a couple of years. So I would look at this just from a business side, they're probably just trying to make more revenues without growing. Like if they realize they can't grow, then they're like, well, then we just got to get more from who we have.
Yeah.
But as I always say, as I said when they raised Game Pass, as I said when they raised Games with Gold, when I said when they tried to raise Live, like PlayStation has been pulling in record profits for years. Sure. And this year was nothing, like they've selling more consoles than they've ever sold this year without releasing any game. Like they haven't released any games. And they're selling out, like it feels gross. I got a chuckle out of the Discord though. I will mention this. I'll fanboy a little bit for folks to get mad. Nathan had bought Nathan had bought the DLC expansion pass for Starfield. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but like on Game Pass, certain Xbox games, they'll usually do like a digital like expansion pass. You'll get like all the DLC and everything, and you get like 5 days early. Like usually you get like early access.
Sure.
And it's like $34, like $35. You get like all of this stuff. It's usually for Forza. You get like the Forza pass, you can get the expansions, you get early access, and it's like $35. You're already a Game Pass subscriber. I've always looked at it like a digital Game Pass stupid edition. Like if you're not buying like the statue and everything, you can do this.
Yeah.
And then like there were folks in there that were mad. They were like, this is gross. This is anti-consumer from Xbox to allow people to have like, you should just have it in Game Pass. You should have to get all the things. You shouldn't be selling early access. And then PlayStation raised the price of Plus. I just got a good laugh out of it.
Nathan did confirm in chat. He did buy that.
There you go. There. I did get a little chuckle out of that. Barrett, I'm thinking about you. I was just like, man, it's funny. It's just funny to like switch between the two channels. I have no idea, and I'm not throwing Barrett under the bus. He definitely was not defending PlayStation or anything like that. I just laughed at the difference a day makes, right? Like the 2 days we were talking, I was just like, wow, this is pretty funny.
That's how it always seems to go, though.
It does, right? That's exactly how it goes. Goodbody Stockbroker is an Irish stockbroking firm. And according to GI.biz, they said that plateaued streaming revenue from these subscription plans is taking a toll on indie devs, that the checks that were being written from PlayStation and Xbox to folks like Tiny Build and more importantly, Devolver Digital are getting smaller than they used to be when all the heights of COVID and everything were plunging people into games. And that's taking a toll on those developer resources and games being released. And I threw that in here more as a tangent to this because the subscription thing is becoming more of a foundation than ever before for sure. And looks more increasingly to be the future, I think, of the model overall. Like I definitely think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to play the middle ground. They want the recurring revenue and like the stability that provides, but they also want to sell you the $70 game on day one. And that's why you're looking at Xbox Game Pass by having DLC options. Like it's amazing that we subscribe to have all these games and then they're also selling us extra things. But like, that's kind of the point. Like, right. They're trying to increase that return on investment. And, I mean, you still got NSO waiting. How long until Nintendo Switch raises the price? Was Nintendo over there like, what are we doing, guys?
I mean,
they're charging $200 a year.
Yeah, they got to get. I don't know. We got to get some more features before we can justify that, right?
Do we? Because they added Saints Row and Generation Zero, and they're like, we're gonna need more money.
Okay, you got a point there.
And They claim for quality games. Saints Row took a beating when it came out.
As Switch Online still allows me to join with 7 other people and split the cost.
Yeah,
whatever. I
you
mean,
do Excite Bike.
It's
I love Excite Bike, man. I don't know, like I was. That's actually that may be the one game that they've shown on 64 support that I was like, maybe.
I've used none of the extras from. I've done the Mario Kart, that but I don't. Besides like the online but in terms of the VC stuff, no.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah, I bought the Mario Kart DLC. I just bought the thing. I was like, I'm just gonna pay for this instead of just eternally subbing for this. They got to do a little bit more for me to do the sub.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, yeah. So people are probably mad. It's not a whole lot of an increase. It's fine. Like to have some sort of, neither one of us are the PlayStation guy, so we're maybe not the best person for this, but I had one thing that's worth talking about. Do you find it odd that they're making it like harder to go up in sub than down? Like by the prices that they're doing, it looks like they're making it easier on people to come down than go up.
I wonder, like, just give me the crash course to, like, what's the difference?
Oh, God, you've asked me the question that I can't answer. All right, no, I can try to answer this.
I'm wondering, like, is there a strategy to that, right?
Because, I make fun of this every year. Like, every month when they release the games, we have a thing now on PSVG where I talk about the PlayStation non-essential games because they've named one tier essential. So the bottom tier, their basic tier, that's the essential tier that you need, and everything else I make fun of is just being non-essential.
My 1,000-foot, I have no idea, would scream that like there must be some, something advantageous for them to have more consumers on the different tier. Like somehow that is saving them, overhead in some way versus like, let's say like, I don't know, maintaining. I don't know. Like, I guess I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, let me make the argument against that because I don't think that stands. All right, so their base tier, the one that's going to $80, that's PlayStation Plus. That's what you've always known. You get the couple games a month. You get to play online. I think maybe you get they have like betas or whatever. Like that's the basic tier.
You get a cool border on your icon.
That's it. The next tier. You get extra games. So there's you may get they have in the extra tier, you get games and it's more Game Pass where you'll get Tomb Raider will show up or GTA or Madden and things like that. None of it's day and date. PlayStation does no day and date anything outside of indie games. They've had a few indie games like Sea of Stars launched on PlayStation Plus, right? So that's that extra tier. That's $136. So from $80 online and a couple games a month, you have to jump $50 to get to the next tier where you get, and I don't think I'm making I'm not taking a shot at PlayStation when I say this. For the people that are actively buying games, the extra tier is usually full of games you already own. They're usually pretty old games, they're not new things. Or at least that's been in our Discord. That's how most people have, most people are if you were interested in that game, you probably already own it by now. Like the Tomb Raiders and stuff like that. Things you can usually catch on sale.
Sure.
The premium tier is all of those things that I said before. This is the one's $160. This one is but this one adds virtual console. You get PlayStation 1 games and PlayStation 2 games. But here's the catch, Jason. I think on certain PlayStation 3 games, you can only stream them. So you can play the older games, you can only stream them. So the most expensive tier is the difference is the cheapest games. And I think that's been
makes me a head hurt.
I think that's been kind of the thing with PlayStation Plus the whole time, with this pyramid, is I think often if I could channel dev, the confusion has always been you're charging the most for the least. You'd think it'd go the opposite way. You'd have live and make maybe virtual console, and then you have an extra tier to get a couple games. You have another tier to be more like Game Pass. But they're not doing that. That's not what they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I found it weird that to get everything, you were paying the most. And even the jump from the essential to the extra is enough. It's almost $60. I think that's enough of a jump to make people be I'll probably drop down. Right? Sure. You don't want that to be the case. What you'd want to do is if for me, raise the bottom up the most, raise the bottom to 100, and then make the next tier like 120 and just be like,
Right.
I'll just get the extra. It's
yeah.
only $20, but they're not doing that at all. Like if you have one of the other tiers, I think the most reasonable person, if you're not really playing everything that's on it, is probably at least considering, maybe I'll drop down a tier or two. And I don't know. I just, to me, from afar, again, not in the PlayStation ecosystem, it seems like a miss. I would be like, that's not what I would do.
Sure.
So, anyway, PlayStation, as I put in the title of the show, PlayStation plus some more money. That's what the show is called.
I have no dog in that fight. So
same. And the funny thing is, I have PlayStation Plus. When I bought my PS5 on release, Kyle had shared some deal where you got like 2 years at $60, and I just bought it blindly. I've barely ever used, just a waste of money, which is really a better point to like justify them raising the prices. Who cares? It's video games. You'll buy it if you can, and you won't if you won't. Like, who cares? But yeah, I still get a chuckle every now and again when I open up PlayStation account management. It's like, you've PlayStation Plus until like, I don't know, November 2024 or some stupid shit. I'm like, sure, I guess. I don't even have a console anymore. We've got an interview from Suda51 over at VGC, and I won't read all of the things he went through, but I will read a couple. He says, he reiterates that Grasshopper will never pump the brakes on extreme content to avoid online criticism.
Okay.
So Suda games are often known to be very bloody and suggestive and lewd at times. And VGC was like, hey, are you worried that people get mad about online content? He was like, absolutely not. We're not doing any of that shit, which is what I love Suda for him. And then maybe more notably, he said he would like to make a new Shadows of the Dam game, ideally with Shinji Mikami involved, which is incredible because they're remastering Shadows of the Dam. We're getting Shadows of the Dam remastered, which I'm very excited for. That's kind of like Grasshopper's current project. Do you ever play Shadows of the Dam?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
The fact that I had to Google it probably says
I got you. It's a horror shooter, comedy horror shooter. Starring Hotspur Garcia, who's like a demon vampire killing cowboy, and in all Suda fashion, like it breaks a lot of molds. It was published by EA, and therein lies the problem. This game is kind of infamous because EA really, apparently, according to Suda and Shinji Mikami, they really cut up a lot of the content out of the game. Like the crazy, wacky things that, and I say crazy and wacky, I don't mean like, oh, like this crazy, fun thing Suda does. Usually I mean like the nonsensical storytelling and things that Suda is known for. Apparently EA is like, yeah, we're not having any of this. So it's always been kind of a bittersweet things with like Suda fans in this game, because like they want to love it and they want to support him, but they also know that EA like chopped it up a bunch to make it, more, I don't know, like Blue Ocean, applicable.
Sure.
So the idea that he could bring some of those ideas maybe to a sequel in the future is a great, like that. I think that gives a lot of people hope. And Shinji Mikami is left Tango. He's out there, like we don't know what he's doing eventually, but he's going to pop up and do something. So I'm not sure if he's like just teasing us or if like this is actually something that like, is he foreshadowing? Could he actually return to Shadows of the Dam 2? Maybe that's why they're doing the remaster.
Yeah. So this is just going to be faithful to that 360 version? Or
it's just going to be an upscaled version of the EA game, which I'm going to buy.
Okay.
I'm all in. I'm
so
still going to get
not quite the fully realized vision, but
yeah.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
The next one's pretty fun. The head of Team Sonic says that pixel art isn't, quote, a viable art style for future games.
I saw this headline.
He says, when we talk about brand, we definitely need to have a modern Sonic 3D game. We also feel we need to have a classic Sonic 2D game. Those are the fundamental pillars that we need. We're expanding into movies and TV, but we still need to have both the 3D and 2D lineup for our gaming audience. Here's the fun part. When you look at pixel art, it's great. But when we think about 10 to 20 years in the future, We don't think it's going to be a viable art style or presentation for our players. And in order to advance and really step things up, we did want to make sure that we're presenting something that 10 to 20 years down the road, we're still evolving and creating new content for. Jason, what the hell is he talking about?
He's right, because 10 and 20 years from now, we're going to be looking back and like Virtua Fighter aesthetic. That's what's going to be the new hotness. It's not going to be pixel art anymore, baby. We're talking about early 90s polygons and their jagged edge glory. That's what that's going to be.
Why didn't somebody ask him if like Link to the Past doesn't hold up? Are you talking like, yeah, man, you're like Super Mario World doesn't hold up, right? That's what you're talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What does this mean?
I'll give them credit. Like, Sonic's probably a much more popular property now than it's been in years.
Yeah, they're on a high.
Success of the films. The 2D games are doing really well. I don't know the numbers, but I feel like the newest game what is that? I don't even know the name of it.
Sonic Frontiers. I liked it a lot.
One. I feel like that's been one of the better, if not one of the best Sonic games to come out.
Definitely in the 3D space.
In the 3D space
sure.
in a while. And I wanted to get that collection, but then I feel like did not like the pricing that they kind of put around that. I really feel like they're like, I don't know. It just didn't. It felt like I got to pay extra to get like some of the stuff that was included in those tiers just felt predatory, in a way. And I was like, yeah, but I like this newest next game that's coming out. Like my son loves Sonic, right? He loved the movies. He played a little bit of Sonic 2 with me on Switch, and so like I feel like there's that multiplayer component that sounds exciting. I think that's going to be really cool. But to tell me that they're going to go, no, these just don't, like, I'm sorry,
this doesn't hold up.
The 2D Sonic games far superior, especially for me, and that's just, I'm sure a bit of that's nostalgia, but I feel like that is, come on, how many indie studios and how many things are going to be making pixel art, 8-bit, 16-bit style graphics for how long? And like,
and definitely,
you said, the games that came out 30 years ago still hold up, right?
They still hold up, like, in
40 years
super
ago,
well.
Still hold up. So.
Not just hold up, like they thriving. Like we're looking at Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy doing HD 2D remasters in that same style. Like they're thriving. They're not like it was. If you wanted to say like, hey, it's really hard to find artists that want to make pixel art games, we can't depend on that, then I'll accept that. I'll listen to it. But to say that like we really can't push the boundary forward, we really don't think this is going to hold up, that is an asinine thing to say in video game development. Like how there was no immediate pushback on that statement is beyond me. Like it really is shocking that nobody was like, yeah, that Super Mario World sucks, doesn't it? Like what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. And that's like an avenue they could explore with Sonic, is like, this, do like a 2D 3D, do some of that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Blend, find a way to,
I would have rather him said like, hey, we want to have a Sonic 3D game and a 2D game, and we want to have like a modern visual style for new players, but we still want to pay homage to our retro roots, and we'll do that when we can. Like there's so many easy ways of doing this response so much better than he did.
Sure.
I imagine that he's probably wishing he could have this one back, like a take two on it. Like this isn't maybe the best,
right?
Because and even so, like I really like Frontiers. That notwithstanding, Sonic Mania was my favorite Sonic game in a decade.
Yeah, Sonic Mania was great.
Yeah, Sonic Mania was great. So like you're coming off the heels of Sonic Mania, and you're like, man, and pixel art, we just don't think that's going to be any good anytime soon.
Can't do it.
What a wild statement for Sonic, no less. It's not like the damn creator of Tekken or anything. It's the brand of Sonic. You imagine if Miyamoto said something like this? Like, what are you doing? Some PR person's like, no.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Some quick hitters. Jez said that he thinks Switch 2 will leak or be revealed soon. Apparently he heard buzz that somebody was showing it in a back room at Gamescom or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's there. If that happened, it is the first time that, like in a big way, people have been together. But at the same time,
it's Gamescom.
I just think anybody with credibility could have wrote that tweet. Like, kind of like, like we know a new system's on the way, whether it was there or not. Like, I honestly, anybody could, like, I could have woke up Friday morning and been like, people are looking at the Switch 2 in some back room alley at Gamescom. You're like, like, there's no way.
It's my favorite time, Donnie. If you predict
Here we
each
go.
month, like every couple months that the
Here we
Switch
go
2
again.
is going to leak or come out, you eventually get to say, "See, look at my tweet on X."
Yeah, there's just like there was nothing said in the statement. It was just such a throw. Like, hey, people are. Yeah. I'm sure they are. And guess what? I'm sure they've shown the Switch 2 to other developers before Gamescom. I'm sure they'll show it after Gamescom. Like, what a great way to reply to the tweet. Like, I'm sure, Ubisoft will see the Switch 2 at some point between now and when it releases. Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yep. You
can preload Starfield on Steam. I didn't ask you, Jason. Are you getting into the Starfield hype? Man after my own heart.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
I'm good.
No time to play it. Yeah. They're talking to the guy that's never played Mass Effects and stuff like that. So, I mean,
I've played it, and I don't think you're missing anything.
People are excited. People are buying, jumping at it. Great. Have at it. I know a lot of people but yeah.
Oh, it's going to be huge. Yeah. People are stoked. I can't wait to see Sean play it. Like, I'm genuinely excited for Sean to play it, but I have no interest myself.
I think that was me and my son in the PSVG Discord somewhere where it was like, what was the comparison? I can't remember. I like the one that you had about, because Bethesda is making it, or
oh yeah, somebody said, why is this going to be any better than No Man's Sky? And I was like, well, one of them is made by Bethesda.
Or I saw some
Todd Howard made one of the two.
Yeah,
and I'll go with that one.
This game is going to be any different than
no, it's just going to be Bethesda.
Yeah. So.
Tomorrow morning we will have a Nintendo Direct live streamed to us. It'll be Super Mario Bros. Wonder based at 10 a.m. John 32 writes in. He says, "What's your prediction for the craziest shit we'll see during the Mario Wonder Direct?"
This is one of the first times, and I think I echo some other people I've seen. Is like, I don't even know if I'm going to watch it. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, I'm excited for the game and I can't wait, but I'm not. Well, first I saw it was only 15 minutes. I'm like, okay. I just didn't want to.
It's a glorified commercial.
I didn't want to go back to the Smash Bros. Where okay, here's an hour of how you're gonna play the game and what's in here. This is what this menu does.
Sure.
Like it's a 2D Mario. But here's the thing: what's gonna happen if I'm not in a meeting tomorrow? I'm gonna watch it or catch a replay. But I say that now, and I'm just gonna watch it anyway, right?
You follow along in the Discord. I'm sure we'll be sharing things.
Yeah. So
the craziest thing that we'll see during the Mario Wonder Direct is I know people are wanting playable Wario and Waluigi, and I say that doesn't happen.
Ooh.
And I will say that what we're going to get is, if pre-order bonus, Rose Gold Yoshi.
Chris Pratt dialogue DLC.
I
don't know.
I'll go ahead and burn this one. This was in our rumor control because apparently this has been floated by a leaker that there is a Switch OLED on the way for Mario Wonder, which I 100% believe. And I said at E3 that I expected that they would do that.
Dude, if they would give a good, an actual good Mario themed Switch,
it won't be.
I know, but
see, that's the point.
Would, though.
It won't be. It'll just be red. It's going to be a red Switch. Yeah. And that was the point. I think
some blue accents.
When we saw it maybe it's a blue dock, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole damn thing is red. It might be a red Switch with a white dock.
In your opinion, what's the best themed one? The Splatoon or the Tears of the Kingdom? Are those the best that they've done in terms of
best? I'll have to think on that one. Give me a minute.
Not counting any docks because they've had a couple with some docks, but I'm talking just the Switch itself and the Joy-Con.
The best Switch special editions. I have to look that up. I need to know what my options are.
There's not many, right? There's the Animal
Crossing.
I
think there's more than people think. There's like 20 or 30 of those.
There was the Smash. There was the Pokemon ones. There was the...
Yeah, Pokemon's had a couple. We're not counting the Switch Lights. I think the Animal Crossing one was pretty damn good. Like, for a themed Switch, that was pretty decent. And I like that one more. The Joy-Cons are bare, but the minimal design fits the game.
Yeah.
The Splatoon one is pretty stellar. Oh, hang on a second. Maybe the Monster Hunter Rise edition.
Ooh. I have
The
Splatoon
Smash
1.
dock is incredible. It's just such a shame the Joy-Cons are so basic.
It's a shame. Like, I feel like that's a like, I don't know.
They've definitely not lived up to expectations on that, for sure. Coming from off the 3DS, the Switch themes are mid. All of them, even the best ones, are mid compared to like the best 3DS editions we've had. Yeah, they're just below expectations in that regard. I expected, when it was announced, Mario Wonder was announced during the E3 Direct or the June Direct. I think if I remember correctly, I think I asked Rebecca, I was like, they're going to make another Mario one. And she was like, no, they're not. And I reminded her that we had I think it was for Mario, was it Mario 3D Land or whatever? Like just came out with like a Mario Switch. It was just a red Switch.
Yeah.
And just had a red Joy-Cons and like a red bezel. And I think she had forgotten.
Yes.
She was like, what? I was like, yeah.
Yes.
I was like, I 100% expect that they'll do that.
This one will be blue.
I was going a step further, I think, if I'm trying to recall my original pitch. I was wondering if they would throw in a code for the movie, like in the box, to like Voodoo or something. Maybe like they can cross promote the movie, maybe have the movie like on the box with the system or something like that. And she was like, absolutely not.
No.
And it won't even come with the game. It'll be like $460. You'll get the Mario system and the game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably true. And it's gonna be sad. But I think we'll see a system tomorrow for the fall. And
you can buy a digital sticker pack with Elephant Mario. That's what
the craziest thing that we can see included. I don't know. I really don't. Like, because this game is pretty crazy on its own.
This
like
game's
the Wonder Flower, and I'm most excited to see more of those mechanics. Like seeing long Mario and like jumping long Mario and like the hippos and like the having like a pipe like pop up and chase you and like just the wild bizarre shit that this game is doing on its own sounds awesome. I can't imagine what they'd throw in there on its own. I mean, I imagine multiplayer is going to be a thing. Maybe they have more characters than we expect. Maybe play as Daisy or something.
I mean, it looks hard, but I think this, like my son likes to mess around in Odyssey, just like in the safe zones. He doesn't like to play against enemies, but so I wonder if this game would be a little more like accessible. Like he loves Mario.
Maybe they have like some mini games.
Yeah, he was watching the movie this morning. My wife and him were building warp pipes today out of cardboard and construction paper, and then painted them. They actually looked pretty good. But he was playing with his action figures, and he had to have his warp pipes. So
nice. He's going to be stoked then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So, I wanted to make fun of the rose gold. I just remembered like Mario Golf.
God, rose gold.
And we had like so many damn metal and gold and rose gold characters. These aren't characters.
Don't talk about Mario Golf. It still hurts. It still hurts.
It does. And it does. My last news story for this week that I wrote in here, and this is one just particular, like, think appeals to me. I am somewhat excited to play. I have been waiting on a good sale to play Lego 2K Drive like all year. And it's free to play this weekend. You can play it on Steam and Xbox, and I think next weekend on PlayStation. And I will be taking advantage of that because I wanted to see what all the fuss is about. This game is pretty divisive. I think the people that I know that have played it are like, it's really good, but apparently it's like really microtransaction heavy, and it's always kind of pushing on that. So I get to jump in for free instead of like, had this game had like a $30 sale at some point, I might have been tempted to buy it. And now I don't have to make that decision. Now I can just jump in and see if it's something I really like or not. And then I want to give it a try. But like Lego Forza sounded awesome when I first saw it. So yeah, if you're interested like me, or you've been waiting on a sale like I have been, you can jump in this weekend for free. Our over-under, before we answer a couple of questions and wrap up the show, is tomorrow is the Starfield embargo. And the game goes live tomorrow night. So, Jason, I ask you, over-under Metacritic aggregate score for Starfield, 88.5.
I'm taking the under.
It's tempting. I'm not going to lie to you. It really is tempting because there's definitely more room under than over. I think there's going to be enough 8s to weigh down the 9s. So I'm going to go with you. I think the line is good. I think the line would have been better at like 86.
Ooh, Yeah.
Right, because that would have been a
Yeah.
little tougher. Because then I might have been more tempted to take the over. So I'm going to come down, and I'll just say I think it's going to get 9s and 10s.
Yeah.
But I think overall, the weight of the
get 9s and
score
10s for
is
the
going to be
people.
closer to 85 than 90. I think. So I'll take the under as well.
Yes.
That's still good. Like, yeah,
Still
as
good.
Kyle in the chat, he says 87. Like 87 is a great game. So we'll see. Questions. Our first question comes from Kyle the Pug, speaking of, and he says, who would be your Mount Rushmore of your favorite football players of all time?
Oh. So we're picking 4, right?
If you haven't listened to the show in a long time, Jason, this is what we do now. We just talk about sports, mostly.
Oh, all right.
Mostly.
All right.
So it's just become a sports podcast.
Hey,
Usually basketball.
That's hard for me to can't add to. I'm just looking forward to having like positive football seasons for like the first time in my life. Hopefully,
hey, you guys look
congruently.
Great. You guys look great.
So my goodness. I saw that question when he came in, and I've been thinking about this both today. First two, easy. Bo Jackson, Barry Sanders. Like no thought, like easy. But then when I like, okay, let's delineate. Let's get some position besides a running back, right? And then that's where it's like a little more challenge for me to like, am I going through my own personal taste? Am I going through accolades? Am I going through body of work? Like what are the pieces there, and that's where it gets tougher for me. And then I don't know beyond that, because I was thinking it's like, it's easy for me to say Calvin Johnson again, but from Lion, and again another Lions player, but a dominant player at the position. Could also lean towards Randy Moss, and what he did and how he changed the way the position was played. Jerry Rice is a solid pick there.
These are all great players.
I don't. That's where it's tough for me. But I also liked, I loved. Boy,
this is hard because I've never thought of having. Well, one, I'm a Browns fan. We don't have a whole lot to choose from. So I'll name 2 off the top easily. Jim Brown, classic, have to. One of the greatest players to ever play. A Browns favorite of mine has always been Phil Dawson, the greatest Browns kicker of all time. And one of the better modern kickers of his day. He never had a chance to make it in the playoffs, but was almost automatic as you could be kicking in the snow and shit out in Cleveland. He was really good for a long time.
I almost put a kicker, my man Jason Hansen.
I think people get attached to kickers, like in ways that you don't other players. The hard part is that like that's probably where the Browns list stops, because like we've had good players that have been endearing to fans, but I wouldn't call them my favorite. Like Josh Cribbs was a really good player. Mm-hmm. Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden one year. Like we've had things, Johnny Manziel, right? The money sign and all that. God, goodness gracious, right? Brady Quinn.
Yep.
So I'd have to pick other players. So I want to think of players that I grew up liking, like maybe as a younger kid. And Jason, here's where it gets really tough, because when I was playing football in middle school and then like into high school, my favorite player in the world was Brett Favre. And everything that's happened about Brett Favre since Brett Favre quit playing football makes me not like Brett Favre at all. So he's no longer on the list.
Yeah.
Like if we're just talking about the player, I absolutely love Brett Favre. If we're talking about the person, terrible person. Just an absolutely terrible person.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. Like for me, it's tough too. Like, I didn't, Emmitt Smith, you can make arguments, but I didn't.
I'm an Emmitt Smith over Barry Sanders guy.
Oh,
that was the 90s thing, right? Like, which one do you like? Barry's flashier, probably more individually talented for sure.
Sure.
But Emmitt Smith, dependable.
He had the career,
reliable,
has the stats, right? So
always gaining, not didn't have as many negative plays,
I always wish to see, much like Bo Jackson's career was cut short, but what would happen if Terrell Davis didn't have his career cut?
I liked watching
so
Terrell
short?
Davis
'Cause
play.
He was putting up great stats in that
Jamal
time
Anderson.
period as well. Oh, Jamal Anderson, yeah.
Yeah.
See, like for me, it's all running backs, but I feel like that's. But I don't know.
My favorite running back outside of any Browns player is Reggie Williams. Ricky Williams, not Reggie.
Ricky Williams.
Jesus,
Yeah,
I was looking at a picture of Reggie White.
I thought about mentioning Reggie White.
Yeah, Ricky Williams was awesome to watch. But like quarterbacks, man, I don't.
I mean, there's not like we've never had a Stafford was the closest thing to having an endearing quarterback to the franchise.
Sure,
we haven't had one.
All pro.
So in terms of Lions, I can't do it. And definitely wouldn't give that accolade to any of the division rivals. But
I'll go Marino. Be my number 3 pick.
Yeah,
love Dan Marino. He was a lot of fun to watch. He had very exciting games.
I always I like the Raiders a lot in the late 90s, early aughts too. Rich Gannon, Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
I mean, they had Jerry at the time, Tim Brown. I mean,
my hardest problem with this, Jay, is that there are a lot of great players that I respect, but don't like because they were on opposing teams.
Sure.
I respect the shit out of Ray Lewis and Ed Reed because I watched them absolutely destroy my Browns for years.
Yeah.
And Ben Roethlisberger and those Raiders teams for sure. That really makes this difficult.
Yeah. I love that clip when Chad Ochocinco tried to block Ray Lewis. Just flattens him.
It ruins a lot of some
Marshall
of the
Falk. Wow, I forgot about
Marshall Falk is a good one.
Greatest show on turf.
Yeah, that was a great team. I really loved watching that Rams team. That was a lot of fun. I'll say Drew Brees.
Yeah, Drew,
that's number 4 pick.
Good pick.
I think my fascination with him is that I loved watching him in college. Like Purdue being awesome and beating Ohio State and Michigan was a wild thing to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he almost was out of the league. What is it in San Diego, right? And the Chargers.
Yeah.
Had a really rough go, and then he gets the Saints and becomes a whole damn a whole different story. It's pretty cool, and he's a smaller guy. He's not the prototype and all that. I like him.
Yeah. You put Peyton Manning up there. I think I like what Peyton's done. You're trying to think back to who are the dominant quarterbacks. Overlooking Montana. I mean, that's
they're overlooking all kinds of great players.
Oh, sure.
I would be more apt to give you 4 college players, my 4 favorite in college, but the pros, because I don't know, I'm just not I'm not as invested into players in the pros. It's more of a team thing.
Yeah, that's
a little tougher for me. Mike Allstott.
Oh, I love watching.
Who didn't love highlights.
Him?
Yeah, who didn't? He was awesome.
Yeah.
Urlacher,
yeah.
Some of the juices are starting to flow. I was trying to think of really great defensive players.
Nobody that I really want to.
Did you say Dion?
I thought about saying Dion, but I was like,
he's all time great. Yeah. A lot of fun to watch, though. Entertaining for sure.
Pac-Man Jones?
Yeah. No, that's a good one, actually. Darren Woodson, good one. Sharper, Dawkins.
Sharper.
I'm looking at safeties. I love watching safeties play in the NFL. They're just more Atwater. Good one. Yeah. Palomalu. See, again, that becomes that's the whole thing. I can't be picking Steeler players.
Right. Warren Sapp. That's a good one, too.
Warren Sapp is a good one. That is a good one. I
mean, we could go around in circles, I feel like, for days on this.
Who's the other defensive lineman out of Nebraska? Played for everybody, but just the huge dude. Played for the Chiefs Play for the Dolphins. Oh, come on.
I'm
Sue.
terrible with college student. Oh, that's what. Okay, I forgot he played with. He was out of Nebraska.
It can be boring to watch like defensive linemen play, but watching Ndamukong Suh was never boring. That shit was a lot of fun. Dude is a monster. He grab a tackle and a guard and like bop their heads together and like go and kill a quarterback. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, but then we had to deal with all the. That was the kick. We had to. Of course, he was on the Lions. We had to deal with the kicking and the this and the that. And come on, yeah, it was always something. The stomping, it was always something.
Yeah, Ram. I think he played for everybody. Like, dude just went like there. He played what? Then he played for the Chiefs for a while, right?
I don't remember if he was ever in the Chiefs because he went from. I don't remember. He was at the Lions, and then did he go to the Dolphins right after that?
Was it?
And then because he played for the Lions, the Dolphins, the Rams. He played for the Buccaneers.
Dude, he's played for everybody. I know he played for the Lions.
Now it's just about getting that 1-year contract money, right? And
yeah, that's the thing. It's like he just started bouncing around. He just went from like team to team. He just basically went to whoever paid the most money.
Yeah.
He played for Tampa. In my head I was thinking of a red jersey.
Okay.
So he's played for Detroit, Philly, Tampa,
Philly,
LA, the Rams, Miami, all those teams.
Damn.
That's it. So there you go. Out of all the players we just named, Kyle, pick out our 4 favorites.
Fran Tarkenton is my. That's my pick.
My current favorite is Nick Chubb. I mean, I can give that one down. He's a beast. He's a monster. And our last question for the night, Barrett, who I mentioned earlier, he says, "What's your walkaway price for the subscription service of your console of choice?" Jason, do you subscribe to any?
I have an NSO one, but I mean, does that
That's
even
right.
count? Because that's like,
what's your walkaway price on NSO?
Here's my walkaway price because I do have one. I've walked away from Game Pass several times, and apparently $15 is
$15 a month.
That's my walkaway price because, like, I'll just go. Well, I paid for it for 2 months and I haven't touched it, so
it's totally fine.
Like for me, like heck, just what do we? Well, we don't now that it's merged with Max, but even like we were like, oh, Discovery Plus, it's $5 a month, but we're not watching anything. Like it's just how it is now. Like walk away, plug in,
and we see the chaos that model has caused the entertainment industry.
So like for me, accessibility is the big thing. Like I love the idea of Game Pass and I think that, I'd be like, oh great. There's so many things I will sub to it. If I know a game's coming out and I want to check out and I'll play it. Cause I'm like, well, what's cheaper? I get Game Pass for a month or I buy the game, right? It's no contest. Or if sometimes I play my cards right, Microsoft's like, hey, come back. $1, they'll give you some cheap discount, right? Or give you some bundle promo.
Yep.
So, and then I usually cancel again because then all of a sudden I don't ever use it, right? So I'm a horrible person to ask for this because but for like Nintendo,
I think you represent a lot of people.
I if that's the only way I can play games online, and not that great, there's a lot of great Nintendo Online experiences, but there's some like if there's a Smash variant on Switch 2, and then I have to have online I have to pay for the online, then I'm gonna be stuck paying the online, right? So, don't have a great answer for you on that. I think it's tougher with those that are in multiple. Like, let's face it. Like, I feel like years ago, more people were entrenched. I think people still have that brand loyalty where they're more entrenched in one camp than the other. But I think now more than ever is like everyone that I know that plays games has all the platforms.
Yeah,
and that's and that wasn't the case 10 years ago, 15 years.
I think they're doing a better job of making a case for people to do multi-platform. You're just missing out on so much if you're just stuck in one silo.
Right. So now that's the question is, what's going to keep you paying for the extras for one versus the other and that price tier, right? So
Game Pass is interesting for me. I'm not saying I would never walk away from it. I think it would be hard. I've got Game Pass for years, so I won't have to make this decision for a very long time. But when the time comes, to piggyback off of your point, I'll need the price of Game Pass to deliver for me month to month more than me buying the games on my own. With me playing so much on Steam and PC now, I do see my active use of Game Pass lessening. But even with that said, I'm still getting, just on the indie space alone.
Yeah.
I'm getting my money's worth just in indies.
Yeah.
And then you throw in things like Stalker 2, or and I'm not even talking about the big ones yet. I'm talking about like the smaller one, Planet of Lana, Replaced, like just kind of like this B tier stuff. All of that is saving me money. And my thing with Game Pass is I feel like Game Pass is giving me like one of those a month. Like every month there's a game coming out like that like had it not come out 6 years ago, Donnie's just playing on Switch, Donnie would have bought that game. I'd have paid $25 for that game on Switch. And Game Pass has done a really good job of giving me a game like that. I'm just going to open up my thing here. Like this year I've played Cassette Beasts, Atomic Heart, Bramble, The Mountain King, like I said, Planet of Lana. These are just things that I just playing. Quake 2. Oh man, I played so much Quake 2 when it released that first weekend. Just things like that. Those are cheap things, right? To me, that's really like the bedrock of my Game Pass, is that I'm always getting something new to play and I'm not having to make those purchases like quote unquote out of pocket. Right. And then you throw on that I get the show, that I get Madden, that I get, all the EA games. Well, even if they're not coming day and date, I know they're all coming. Like I not one point did I ever think of even buying the Avium game from EA. Have you seen that? What is it called? I forgot the name of the game. Lords of Avium or Immortals of Avium is a new game from EA that they released. It's an IP. It's a new IP. It's like a magic shooter. It's like, think of like Call of Duty if you're like a spellcaster.
Wow, first I've heard of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone I do live under a rock. It's okay.
So like this game comes out
with that.
I've seen demos, it's reviewed. It's not like particularly amazing or anything like that, but like it looks good. It looks quality. Yeah. I've never, from the moment I saw the game, I was like, not a chance in hell I ever pay $70 to play that game. But
Harry Potter FPS, huh?
It's published by EA. And I just know that with a little patience, I will play that game for free. Like the game will just show up in Game Pass one day. It's bound to, because all of the games come to Game Pass. So, and then on top of that, I get Forza. There's the Starfield option. Hellblade is on the way. Fable's on the way. Gears will be there. And on the Xbox side, you start talking about things like Hellblade, Gears, Fable, Perfect Dark. Like these are games that I would be buying out of pocket day one anyway. Right. So Game Pass is a really good deal for me. Now, when they were dabbling with the family plan, the number that was getting floated out there was $40 a month. And like that was basically what we were going to be splitting. And that was maybe, and when I say splitting, I was planning on splitting that with just me and Kev. It would be Kev and I just splitting it in half because we were going to share with our kids. So it was basically be us splitting it so we could share with our kids instead of like if we could get 4 people to go in 4 ways, that sounds like a dream, right?
Sure.
But the both of us going in, it wasn't that I was resistant to doing it, but it was like, I don't want to risk all of the codes that I've stockpiled and stashed on Game Pass for years on sharing that with Kevin. Nothing against Kevin, but like I'm not, I'm not running, a not-for-profit over here. Like I've stashed all of these codes for a reason. So there's definitely a number. I don't know what that number is when the time comes, but let's say, what is it, 15 a month now? I think if it doubled, if it got to 30 a month after all of my codes and everything had expired, I would probably go back to being more of a month to month pick and choose. Right? Like if there's a big game, like when Call of Duty comes out, I would probably sub for Call of Duty and then let it lapse. Right? Because at $30 a month, I could just buy that indie game. Right? Like that's the thing. I could just buy Replaced. I could just buy Planet of Lana if it's $30 or more a month. I could just buy those things. But with it being $15 a month, I'm getting those deals on top of the other deals. So yeah, I think that would be maybe the best way. Now, to throw you back in here though, The answer for me on NSO was whatever it is, because I just got out of that racket altogether. Like, that hit me like a ton of bricks. I was sitting there when they came out with their other tier or whatever, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm in this family plan with everybody, and that's great because it's not costing me anything. We're all paying what were we paying? Like $8 a year, all of us or something? It was dirt cheap.
Yeah, it's dirt cheap.
But that's the only reason why I was even doing it, is because that was the reason. It had nothing to do with this. I don't play online. I hadn't played online at all. I don't play any of their retro games. I have them all anyway. Like, it really just hit me. I was like, I'm literally paying for nothing. I'm literally paying for nothing. And I'm the head of the plan. I'm the family plan that everybody else is attached to.
I'm getting the points. That's all I'm doing here.
I was like, so I got to get out of this. I'll get out of this. Let somebody else be the head of the plan. Yeah, the Nintendo side just doesn't really appeal to me a whole lot. I wish they were selling the games individually even. Like, I would have bought Excitebike. If they had put Excitebike 64 up for $15-20, I would have bought Excitebike. But the fact that I've got to subscribe to the NSO 64 pack, I'm like, well, I guess I'll never play it then. Because you can't subscribe to the 64 pack for a month, I was told. You can only add it on for a year. I was like, oh, the hell with that. I'm not doing that.
That's a weird.
Yeah. I was like, I'm not doing that. That's too much. So, yeah, on the NSO side and on the PlayStation side, the only reason I ever even was in it was because I could get it cheap. There have been several times where I let PlayStation Plus go. Again, because it's the multiplayer. Unlike me or unlike everybody else, I'm not as tied to the multiplayer. So they're like, you've got to pay for multiplayer. I'm like, screw you guys, I'll play on PC. I pay for 0 multiplayer over here. And I wish Game Pass, I would like to, I mean, I've already said I don't want to belabor this point, but when they raised the price of Games of Gold and they tried to rename it Game Pass Basic or whatever the hell they're doing, I was like, guys, just stop. Just say multiplayer is free. Like, I think they were scared to like pull that out of like, oh, it's a part of Game Pass. Like, just stop. Just forget about it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to stop subbing to Game Pass Ultimate because you've made online free. Like, that's not the reason you're signed again. And if they do, if they're on Twitter, like, I'm going to cancel, they'll be back. God, trust me, they'll be back. They're not going long. They'll be back. It kills me that like Xbox has PC Game Pass. That's cheaper than console Game Pass where multiplayer is free. And they're like, you just play that, or you can pay us extra and we'll just charge you for the same multiplayer. That's just asinine. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Consoles are a weird place, man. I think you told me this years ago. Just like how, like, you know, I just couldn't see it. But like, it's just a bizarre little fiefdom that they all kind of hold. You know, it's like a walled garden, I guess.
That was just you took the words right from me.
But they operate like in their own. They operate like in their own rules. Like when we were doing all this Call of Duty nonsense, you know, and we're talking about exclusives and games, and I'd made the point, I was like, you know, like no other industry is like this at all. Like you can go anywhere and buy a Blu-ray and play that damn thing on anything you want to play it on. Consoles and Blu-ray players and Toshiba and Sanyo's versus Sony's. And games are like, nah, you have to play it on ours. You have to. You know, like there is no, it's a weird, I don't know, like grandfathered in business model.
Yeah. Do you think, you know, I wonder, do you ever think you'd see, and I don't think because they're shareholders in this and that, but can you imagine if there's ever got to a point where every game, regardless, right, on console space, let's focus there, was just the game would run on both, could play on both, like there was feature parity, whatever, but I mean crossplay, you could play with everyone, you know, it was just you were beholden to your manufacturer of choice, right?
Sure.
Like, can you imagine like
I do.
How that would
I can actually. I think
disrupt things or change.
I don't want to say that I think that will be the way because I think they're going to try really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. But, and this is really just like big picture macro looking down, projecting this business forward. We're already seeing it. We've seen this for a while now, like with PCs. The reliance on hardware will begin to lessen decade over decade. Like there just becomes a point where it's not necessary anymore. And it doesn't mean streaming, but it can. I think streaming will be a part of it. But like even we've seen like if we take a comparison, an app comparison, right? You used to have a PC and you had to have that so you could run your own software on it, right? Like, and it had to be like you had operating system specific software. That's very similar to games consoles, right? Software built for the OS that you had to play on that OS. We've seen all of that fallen down. And then you used to have to like keep a better PC so you could keep up and run the new things. Now you can just run like all the software programs just literally in a browser. Like all that shit can just run off site. You don't even need to do it anymore. You can run the shit off a toaster, right? You can run it, you can do Word on a Chromebook, right? So if you look at that and you're like, this is the general direction of technology. And think about like Google Earth, right? Now you can just run it locally. ArcGIS. I'm thinking even get off of like Microsoft stuff. All software is going that model. Software as a service, cloud hosted, all those things. If you take that and apply it to games and then you add in the delivery of streaming just as an option, like whether you're running it local or external, I do think we could I think we could see a date and time where maybe you have a box, you have a choice of a box. You could buy a PlayStation box, my Xbox box, you could buy any box, right? You could buy the Toshiba box.
Steam box, baby.
Steam box. And you plug it to your computer and it has like the PlayStation and Xbox and Nintendo app on it. And you subscribe to those apps to get that content and you can download and install the content and run it. I think that's in my head. I'm thinking like something like that probably starts with a TV or a tablet or like an iPad or something, right? Where like those apps become outside of their consoles. And then once that happens and people start adopting that, then we see the long transition to where that adoption, like if it becomes more ubiquitous and it finds its way back to the console origin, like that would be the last stronghold. But like, I think we already kind of see it. I think we're seeing that on Xbox space. Xbox talks about how their growth is on PC. Their Game Pass growth is on PC. That's where they're finding new players. Mobile is a big part of that. I think eventually, you'll see PlayStation start to do similar things in similar spaces. I really think it's like TVs. Once the infrastructure is there to where you don't even need a box, like you could just sync a controller with the television and it runs Game Pass and Xbox and games like that and Steam games and all of that. And you can just play these little devices on your phone. Like I have my Ally. It's like a portable Xbox. Like as more and more of those things come out, then I do think the reliance on the console becomes lessened. And I think the last holdout will most definitely be Nintendo. But as PlayStation will eventually, if Xbox is successful, PlayStation will be forced to compete in that space. And like, again, I'm not saying that I think this is going to happen. I'm just drawing off of what's already happened in other sectors. This is just what's happened.
Right.
Look at what TikTok and YouTube have done to like video and home video and rentals, and like, just look at how much transition has changed. And we used to have, HBO and these channels, and now they're apps and they're on TV and now they're on everything. And, like this is just kind of what is happening in media. And I'm not naive to think that games are removed from that scenario, especially with players like Amazon and Apple and stuff, sniffing around Netflix. Like think about, I didn't even say Netflix, but think about Netflix. Like they're doing games, they're making games, they're a mobile competitor. I'm waiting for the day we wake up where Game Pass is just like included in Netflix. Like they're like, you can stream your Game Pass games on Netflix. Cause I seriously 100% think Xbox wants to do that. I think that's going to happen one day. And yeah, when more and more delivery like that gets out there, it's just using the Netflix model. Remember, Netflix used to ship DVDs and then they didn't. Yeah. Right. And like when Netflix was shipping DVDs, nobody thought that like it would ever change. Right. Like there was like, well, this is it. Right. You just subscribe to DVD. So much so the Blockbuster was like, F those guys. We don't have to worry about those guys.
Yeah.
And then now there's no more Blockbuster. And I think like if just taking that history and applying that forward, I do think we might see a day where you can just play all the things either on fewer pieces of hardware, if not just one. But I think that PlayStation And maybe Nintendo, like I could see Nintendo, but oh man, there's a deeper topic here, Jason.
Sure.
Do you have 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll do it then. On the hardware side, let's just talk hardware. I think if Xbox is successful with what they're doing, I think you could see Xbox vacate the hardware market, or at the very least, have much less reliance on it.
Yeah.
I think in a perfect world, Xbox would love to put Game Pass on PlayStation. Right? They would love to just get out of it. Like, you play our stuff wherever the hell you want to. You play it on Switch, you play it on PlayStation, you play it on your TV, you play it on your PC. We don't give a fuck. That's what they do with Windows. That's what they do with PCs now.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's an easy one. Nintendo's a different one. They design their hardware around their software. And I think if the future plays out in like a streaming consolidated space, I think Nintendo probably looks to get bought, sold. Apple, Amazon, somebody probably, grabs up that IP. In which case, I think they adapt to whatever the hardware that they make. And I don't know if people want to hear that. Like, that may not be a good thing. But I think what we could see is like a hardware-less world where you can pick and choose the kind of hardware you want to play on. So like maybe Nintendo content is available on PCs or on TVs or on iPads, but they also have like a portable that you can just buy if you want to. Right? Okay. Kind of like you can subscribe to Spotify and YouTube, but if you want to buy vinyl, you can. I think it might become more of like a boutique thing like that, where like you can subscribe to the PlayStation app on your TV and play, or you can buy like this little PlayStation device or controller. Like they'll find a way to sell you hardware, but it's like an option, not a mandate. That'd be like kind of how I would project it forward.
It's an interesting topic to think about, right? And like, especially as we see further penetration of broadband services and reliability and accessibility, and
I mean, that's been the whole thing this decade, right? Is people are like, well, the infrastructure's not there. It will be, though.
Yeah.
Like, it will be one day. Like,
One
it's
day.
drastically getting better every year. It's think of how much better internet is from 2005 to now. That's not that's not a long time. We're not talking about a long time. And you take that pace, you project another 25 years. That's a lot of progress.
Because we're going to see some different, like, just look how far Wi-Fi has changed, and then look how much mobile has changed since then. Like, so like what 5G is what we're at now. I think of like 20 years time, there's probably going to be some other evolution,
15Gs
in the delivery, like in how we deliver. We're going to use the microplastics that are inside all of your bodies right now and deliver, they're going to daisy chain those with other people. They're going to send a signal through your body. You just plug in, baby. Yeah. So like you think about that, and it would be crazy to think of what's predominantly been an Eastern company. Think if Nintendo got bought by some Western organization, that would blow my mind a little bit.
Yeah, Disney,
very, very different.
They
Disney and Apple have always been the names floated, right? I mean,
yeah, because I think those companies, and they're easy dots to connect because those companies value IP, and Nintendo has the most valuable IP. Like if you wanted, because to them, they're not buying Nintendo, the hardware maker, they're buying Nintendo, the content creator. Mm-hmm. And they're going to make movies and TV show. Like, and you look at what Nintendo's doing, that prediction, while it may sound shocking, really shouldn't surprise people. Like, they're on that path.
Right.
They're not on that path. They're on that path.
Just
That's not exactly the path they're walking right now. It's becoming more diversified, less reliant on strictly hardware. Especially if their entertainment business takes off. Mm-hmm. They get it to a point where they're like, oh, well, we made it with you. It didn't work that well. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Mario 18 in theaters is killing it.
Yeah. They said we couldn't make a movie. Well,
$1 billion.
This dollar sign after, and all the digits after it says otherwise.
Yeah. So, and with them, the interesting thing is with them is if they were to at one day maybe look to change like what would that do to their game making business? You know, like, because their game, like, there's like different paths. Like, they've been a traditional video game company. I think right now they're more like they make like portable video games is like what I would really kind of push them to. So it makes me want to lean like a mobile way. That's why I would like go the Apple route, because like I know it's a crazy thing to say, but again, I'm thinking long term, 40 years from now, could I see like Mario games just being released on phones and tablets and shit? Yeah, I could. That doesn't faze me in the slightest, because I think at some point, again, like that technology will be on par with consoles. Because it kind of already is. Like, as much as you need like a 4090 to push 4K and all that, you can also like do like some crazy stuff like on a phone that like if you were to like just hold them next to each other to a person that has no idea, you know, or like comparable, not the same, right? But comparable.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd be like, especially a Mario game, you know?
Right.
So stuff like that just makes me think
we would even need a physical, like, who knows, like what, you know, your interface could be, you know, like this is, I don't know.
Your glasses.
Yeah, right. You go bigger picture, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pizza glasses, they could do it. Okay, perfect.
That's why I think the TV, like the TV is like the center of the home. Like that's the entertainment, right? So like if your TV just came equipped with like the Nintendo app, how many people would stop buying Nintendo hardware? Tons.
Yeah.
Like if it worked, and that's the kit.
Sure.
That's the thing. If it worked, we got to get to the point where it works. And when we do, we'll stop thinking of the way that we currently are.
Right.
And it'll just become like a dad thing, an old thing. Like, oh, they grew up with the
back in my day, you had to buy a box and put it underneath
really
your
will.
TV.
It'll become one of those things. I 100% believe that.
I mean, to tell my kid, like, well, already, like, his generation is, I coined them as like the streaming, the Netflix generation, because everything is available now. He has no concept of having to wait for anything. Any show he's ever wanted is available one click of a button.
No commercials.
You don't have to rewind the tape. No commercials.
Yeah. Tapes.
Yeah.
Imagine I guarantee you there was 4 friends sitting around a round table, probably partaking in a substance or two. And, you know, in 1975, they were like, dude, VHS is the future. You know, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's to believe that it's not, to believe that the status quo is going to stay forever is ignorant. Mm-hmm. The status quo isn't the same from 2005. We've come so far in like the modern gaming era has changed so much, let alone from like the 1980s. And then you go back as far as media, like, yeah, it'll change a lot. And I just think more and more of these walled gardens are crumbling.
Yeah.
Like, dude, Netflix has HBO shows on it now. You know, like that is the sad part with like the subscription and the streaming model plan in the game space is that's not done a lot for TV and movies. That space, right, I think, has overall suffered. There's been a lot of profit. They've profited a lot over the last 20 years for sure. But now I think they're all realizing that the old classic cable model of everybody being together and everybody splitting the revenue made more revenue go around. And now it's kind of the land of the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And the haves are buying up the have-nots. Does that sound familiar?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, right? Like, yeah, the parallels are easy, I think, to make. But I'm sure it'll be a little bit different because games aren't movies.
Right.
But they're still important.
Right.
The Netflix thing really, really gets me. Because I'm right now they're dabbling. Like they're just kind of playing around. Like they just started like launching games you can play on your TV with your Netflix subscription and like a little controller app for your phone.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for them to like, if they take that step forward and then they like introduce like an actual controller. I'm just waiting for the day, man. I know it's happening. I'm waiting for the day we're gonna wake up and it's like the new Assassin's Creed game is on your Netflix. It's free. You just subscribe, you just log in and play it. And I'm wondering, like, that type of delivery service and a subscription that people already have. Just think of the eyeballs.
Right.
If Xbox is like, you can play Halo on Netflix. The eyeballs, like the amount of people that don't have Xboxes that could instantly look at and play Halo and subscribe to Game Pass. That's a huge deal. It's no different than like if a Mario game was on the App Store. You're on Disney Plus. You know, like,
Right.
and that's just it's bigger than the video game market that we currently think of.
Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my deep philosophies on future video games. Jason,
happy to inspire you.
Thank you once again for saving the show and jumping, man. I enjoyed the ride. It was fun, always to hang out with you and talk. Before we get off here, let our listeners know where they can find more podcasts from you.
Yeah, and it's present and current iteration. I do this little dealy called I guess we call it What the Flex Suppose now, flextopose.com. It's been a long running podcast with me and my good friend who hasn't been on the show for a year, but he's still there in spirit. But Kevin Austin, you guys, PSVG fame, remember Kevin? He's bailed me out and has come on there. But we got some changes in the work, hoping to spice up things and maybe expand the team there just to shake things up and change formats and all that. But still doing it, enjoying it and enjoying the journey, right?
Show goes on.
So show goes on, life goes on, show goes on. And or you just be like Nathan Thomas here in the chat. Just come to Grand Rapids. We'll go have a drink, have some food, and have a good time. So
good times. Mr. Lucas reached out to me on Facebook and commented. I was like, man, I have not heard that as a name I've not heard in some time. Hello, Lucas.
He's a man of mystery.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks for joining me. It was fun. And listeners, I hope you enjoyed the show as well. And that's it for us here on episode 102. We'll catch you next time. See you, Kooplings.